Yep,
You did it.
you did.
Yep.
it.
Ta-da. Okay, as I understand, I guess I'm the guy for the day. Found that out a few seconds ago.
No.
So I guess what we want to do, since we have no new people, is just go to some announcements. And I think Leslie and Helen went someplace and that they wanted it to discuss. Let me see. Am I sharing?
Yes.
Yes,
Yep,
Okay, and you can see the full picture.
no,
Yeah.
we see a bunch of pictures.
the thumbnail.
Okay. Da-da-da-da. I'm a stranger in paradise.
Well, let me start talking about it. I found, there are there's a set of gargoyles on White Cross Road.
Yeah.
And I stopped there last fall and found that on one of them, it says Crensica arboretum. And I tried to look up what that was, but I couldn't find it anywhere. And then I've gone back and taken pictures of the gargoyles a couple of times, but Helen wanted to take pictures of the gargoyles. So we went last week and we met a guy who I asked for information on who owns the property, called the guy named Tom Krenetsky. And he gave me permission to walk the 83 acres anytime I want, and also to bring the group there anytime I want. And so Helen and I went back yesterday and we had a glorious time. And I just sent in a couple of pictures to sort of give you guys a sense of all the things that are there. And then we could talk about when in the next week or two we can go to see the dogwoods, at least in bloom. The weather's not going to be great, but I think we could figure out sometime. So this is the walled garden in there. And if we go to the next picture. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. There's a pond
I've
there.
driven by that place a number of times and always wondered what was there. I was
Yeah,
going to recommend to them that they take a security team, but I'm glad it was a friendly place after all.
oh, it's incredibly friendly,
That's the one, the gargoyles are right at the driveway, right?
Yep.
The gargoyles are right at the
Yeah.
driveway, but
Yeah, I
the
stopped and
entrance-
took a picture of them one time, but
yeah, but the entrance to where we park is further along or before, whichever way you're coming from the gargoyles.
okay.
So this is the pond that's there, and over to the left, you can't see it. There's like a little village of four different concrete huts that's just beautiful, that overlooks the garden. And then there's a ravine with a beautiful creek in it.
Nice.
So
What'd you say?
there's all sorts of different topography and lots of different kinds of vegetation, amazing number of birds, and we can go there. So I'm just wondering, the weather doesn't look great for the next 2 weeks, but we could go tomorrow morning early. Or we could go, I think Saturday and Sunday is out because it's Easter, right? And Passover,
Oh, right. Yeah.
unless you guys want to do it anyway. And then I guess next Wednesday would be the next good time, which would be, the high would be 63 and it would be mostly sunny. But I think the best time to go really is either early in the morning or towards evening.
Right.
And so any suggestions on when people want to go? I'm pretty open for the next week or so. Anybody interested in tomorrow morning? No, okay.
Can't
right.
do that.
Tomorrow's the 13th, right? Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
What about next Wednesday then?
The 20th.
Yeah.
I could do that.
Yeah, I could do that. I don't have anything on that day.
Okay. All right. So let's figure out what time we want to meet on Wednesday. What day was that? Did you say?
The 20th.
The 20th.
20th.
Thanks. So what I was thinking that we could do is we could all meet at Farrington and then carpool over there.
What's the parking light? What's the parking like over there? Just,
Well, it's just a private house.
yeah, okay.
And so I don't want, it wouldn't be good to have too many cars coming.
Right. Oh, definitely.
So,
Now, is there anybody living in the house at this time?
yes.
Okay. Yeah, let me look at the next Wednesday. All right.
So anybody else want to come along?
How many others are interested?
I think I can come.
What
Good.
time?
Well, that's what we're saying. We're discussing the time right now. Because it's going to be a chilly day. It's only going to be the high of 63.
Okay.
Later in the afternoon would be better when it's warmer.
Yes.
Okay.
Like 4 o'clock?
Yeah, it's 4 o'clock at Farrington next Wednesday.
Where at
Okay.
Farrington?
Well, you guys tell me because I don't live there. I just thought that most of you live around there and that would be easiest.
How about the Roost?
Yeah, park
Yes,
near a
it
roost.
would be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah,
And then, I can't give you all guys permission to go there on your own, but I'll give you his name and you can call him up if you want to go back, or we can just have another outing there because it's more than a one-time stop. Anyway, that's my contribution to the group today. So Helen, do you have anything to add?
I can't get on my other computer and I don't think you can hear me.
It's a little
We can hear
fuzzy,
you.
but we can hear you.
can hear you.
Yeah, you're fine now.
Okay, I'll.
Okay, all right, so we have Helen, can you send out an email to everybody that we're gonna meet at 4 o'clock a week from tomorrow at the Roost to go to the Krensica Arboretum
Is that tomorrow or
next
next
Wednesday, not tomorrow.
Wednesday?
20th.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm gonna
and I
be
hope
sending
a
some-
lot of you can come because it's just beautiful.
Yeah, the dogwoods are in bloom right now. It's just that much
And
prettier.
there's some spicy viburnum that smell incredible.
It is a work in progress, I would say that.
Okay, maybe another announcement that I'll throw out here is I've been working with Susan and Bob on a very basic Photoshop elements, maybe workshop sometime. And I think I've gotten to the point where I have some of the basics down, and they're the ones that I use probably 95% of the time. So that for anyone who has very little experience with Photoshop elements, it'll be a good beginner's kind of course. It's probably going to be about 2 hours. We haven't determined yet where and when, but it would probably be much better in person. So there's more hands-on activity as far as if people need help. And it will have to be indoors because the last time we all met at the Roost, we opened up a laptop and you could barely see it. So being outside is just not going to work. But that's going to be determined at some future time. So, but to let you know that it's out there,
Mhm.
and
Great.
we're going to try to get it together.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to try to. Uh-oh. Where did I go? Who am I? Why am I? Where am I? Okay, do you have me?
Yeah,
We have
that's
a
mine.
turtle.
That's mine, Betty. That's the whole image. I was thinking actually, what you want to go to the second one and
Wow.
image within the image.
So
Well-
Betty, did you take this through window?
Yeah, I did. Well, he wasn't,
can submit it next
I wasn't
week.
around there swimming with him. I mean, that's for sure.
I
No,
hope
no,
you
I was
did.
thinking you could submit the same picture next week.
I know, right? Can you
where
move
was
to the next? Can you move to the next one so you can see what there? Okay, this is the image within
cool.
the image.
Oh,
And
that's neat.
actually, I I was going to ask you all before you saw the other one, what you thought it was. But my thought on this was, you know, that got little turtle. I mean, he had a really great face, and you get really cute face, and that's what I saw. But then later on, what I realized what was really beautiful about him was the shell. And so I, you know, used Photoshop elements and took out the shell and, you know, played with the background a little bit. In fact, I used the speed motion thing in Photoshop elements to
Oh,
get this
yeah.
background. And I was very happy with that, as opposed to, you know, just getting a flat black or flat something
It's
else.
amazing.
So,
So on that, would you have to lasso around the shell? And then,
yes, I did. I used lasso.
did a good job on that. That's tough to do.
You know, the thing about it is, this is, if you go back to the other one, I mean, I didn't take the shell as it was. I just took whatever I could get with the lasso. And, but yeah, the lasso tool I thought was rather difficult to work with compared to just using a brush,
Right.
brush stroke or something like that.
And I'm
So-
guessing that the auto select subject wouldn't work too well on something as busy as him.
Mhm.
You're right. Right. Yeah.
So I
No,
have-
actually, these guys were at the Nature Museum at Huntington Beach State Park down in South Carolina, where we went last week, down near Brook Green Gardens. And I'd never really seen a diamondback terrapin before, but interesting looking creatures. So.
Yeah. So
And by
I
the
have a
way, a
question-
terrapin is something that doesn't live in salt or fresh water, but between the two.
Hmm.
So in case you've ever wondered what a terrapin was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a question about this picture in a picture thing, because I got confused, because I tried to do some pictures, and whenever I isolated part of the picture, it came out really fuzzy because I was enlarging it and
Yes,
cropping it.
that's-
So was that just, a picture in a picture is just cropping? Is that what it is?
Well, I don't think that's all it is, and I haven't seen all the photographs, but there are some that are not just cropping, but there is a picture within the picture, and when we get to those, you'll know what I'm talking about. I
Okay.
think either works for the challenge, and I think Graham is what got us started on this, and with
Right.
Graham, picture in picture was just cropping.
Right.
Okay.
There's another take on it, no pun intended.
Actually, Leslie, one of the things, because I was agonizing about that whole issue too. And then everything that I blew up would be fuzzy because
Right.
if I took it with an iPhone. So, but in that particular case, the best shot I could get of this shell was using the lasso thing in Photoshop elements as opposed to just flat blowing it up.
Oh,
For some reason, it kept more clarity than when I just flat blew it up.
okay.
It just otherwise became, you know, kind of a fuzzy abstract.
Yeah.
So,
And the other idea is that you have a good picture, right? I mean, you don't take a crappy picture and then find a
Right.
picture in a picture. You have
Yeah.
a good picture and find another
yeah,
picture.
the better, when once I took with my Sony mirrorless that, you know, had, I mean, I figured a picture in the picture was, you know, a story within the story kind of thing. And with the Sony mirrorless, I had a much better chance of being able to, you know, blow something up
Huh.
that was a smaller crop of a bigger picture.
Is that because
It was
the
hard
mirrorless
with the,
has-
it was hard with the iPhone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is that because the camera has more megapixels than the iPhone? Okay.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
there might be
larger
a
Better,
sensors.
better sensor, the whole works.
Well,
The
thanks.
reason why you carry a
got-
big one around sometimes,
Yeah.
I guess.
I mean, I got really confused.
Yeah,
So thanks.
It
I'm
might be a good
anxious to see
opportunity.
these things and learn from them.
Might be a good
Well, that's a
opportunity at
great
some point to
hero.
talk about resolution whenever.
That's a great
and
idea.
the impact of,
Yeah.
Okay, this one here is actually from Siler City. It's wall art in the hardware store down there. And
That's neat.
it was, I went there at the worst possible time, which I'm facing the building and the sun is just coming over the edge of the building straight into me. So I had to be able to be there and get my hand up and try to keep as much of the flare away as possible. And what I did is I cropped it down just to the size of the mural itself. You know, there's a little more to it, but I didn't add anything to it. And if you look at it, it looks like it's almost like three different scenes. You know, over on the right-hand side here, it seems like there's something going on here with, you know, the gentleman up there trying to get down one of the appliances and the kids and stuff like that.
Yeah,
In the center, there's kind of another scene here where the worker is probably turning something here on a like a dolly, Lazy Susan, so that the woman can get some kind of either screw or something out of there. And then you have the little kid down here. And of course, then you have kind of the third scene here, which is the hardware store and the law office. So here there's a lot of stuff going on.
yeah.
There are certainly three different major scenes. So what I tried to do is not just take one of these scenes, because that would be a little too easy. But what I did is I even went in further to try to capture, you know, one unique part of it. And I thought this was probably about the best because, you know, you get really close in and you do see that she's going through the cabinet here to pick up, and it does look like a screw. This gentleman's waiting here to be served. And then you have the little gal down here, seems like she's getting some nails or something out of a barrel. And what's interesting over here too is the apron, where it says, "Be wise, modernize." And it's a hardware store incorporated, and it has a phone number of 139. So it's kind of telling you kind of when it was, and it was Siler City.
Great.
That's really neat.
It's a great story.
Great picture.
Mm.
The resolution
the-
is so amazing. You got that.
Yeah, it's still, yeah, it got great resolution. You went down into that depth into the picture.
And I even kind of just went this far into just to
Oh, yeah.
show
Wow.
that there's
Wow.
even more of the story. But yeah, this is the 850, Nikon D850. It's a monster.
Great.
Mm.
Okay,
Wow.
this is mine at the gardens, the Duke Gardens on Sunday. And this is down at the bottom. You can see the tulips on the bottom. And as I said, because they were having a reunion weekend, it was busier than normal. But I just wanted to get this one shot, the big major shot of all these people enjoying the garden on, you know, which was a beautiful day, a little chilly, but it was beautiful. And then what I did then on the next picture, I wanted to zoom in on certain people enjoying it. And so I was able to get this group here, there's two women, you know, I like the fact they're each looking in different directions. And you got that other woman to the right walking into the picture, right near the cactus. And even though I did zero in, the resolution did hold up a bit. I mean, it's a little fuzzy. So I had to play around with the sharpening and just, you know, brush it on some of this. But you still maintain the flowers, and the colors were just beautiful that day.
Hey, Frank,
Yeah,
one comment. The the tree on the left-hand side of the picture, it's cut off at the top. Did you do that on purpose or?
I was working with the raw, I worked with the raw file to, obviously to get the big picture. Then I went back to the raw file, and working with Photoshop on the raw to crop, it's very difficult because you start to move in and it hesitates and then it shrinks down a lot. So you've really got to be careful working with it. And I just cut it off a bit at the top. I mean, in the original picture, it wasn't, you could see the top.
Right, yeah. It just, I think, for me personally, it would have been
Yeah,
a
see,
better
right.
picture if you'd been able to see the top of the tree, but I like it anyway. I mean, you're right about the people looking in all different directions.
And you got the people in the back looking, everybody's looking
Right.
in a different direction here.
Exactly.
True.
But that would definitely be a nice outing to go there.
Mhm.
But I was telling everybody before, there's a Japanese tea house there, but it's only open on Mondays. So if we're ever going to try it, Monday would be the best day to go. And there's no charge to get in. You just pay a parking fee for the garage, for the parking lot.
That'd be good.
Ready?
Good idea.
Oh,
Helen,
the gargoyle.
Wow.
That's what's at the, on White Cross.
Wow.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
That is a gate, two of them. And we can go to the other.
Oh, that's great, Helen.
Oh, my gosh.
That is.
Just wanted to show the detail of the creature. He's
I like that.
begun to fade, of course. Getting a message, internet connection is unstable.
You're
But,
fading in and out again, Helen, but keep going because what you're saying is interesting.
that's just part, one of the ideas of the picture. I like my other one if Bill can do it later, but I want to use this in case we did need to be a lead in to the conversation.
That's amazing.
I love the vine back there. It's kind of
Right.
crypt-like, Ew, it's creepy, but it's great.
I think now looking at it, would move the plant over his head. I think that's disconcerting. I blur that, but otherwise.
Well, it's a good job, Helen.
Very good.
Good.
this is keycaps.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
And this is one of the 2 or 3 that I mentioned that is a picture. And then
Oh.
in a
okay.
picture.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So would you say Keycap put this in?
Yeah,
Yeah, key cop.
Okay. Because he's not on today, right? No, I didn't think so.
There's the picture in the picture.
Oh, that's cool.
That's great.
very interesting and very innovative.
Yeah.
And the background is as sharp in the mirror sunglasses as it is in reality without the reflection. Really sharp.
That is.
Good mirrors.
And I like the fact you got a different person in each lens.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That
And
is-
also the backgrounds are amazing. If you look, I didn't even realize there's the mountain on one and then the other one, there's an old building.
Yeah.
I
Did he
can't
say where
remember.
it was taken?
He had it in his notes, but I want to say Costa Rica, but I don't know that that's true.
that's what I think I remember too. Yep.
Pretty cool.
That is nice. That's a great idea. You're very creative.
Oh,
Cute.
That's mine.
What's your dog's name, Lynn?
Um, her name is Dakota, but she goes by Taco.
Well, I can see how that happened.
Did you get down on the floor to take this picture?
I was sitting on the floor and she was up on a piece of furniture.
She's got an amazing look on her face.
Yeah, I took a bunch of pictures, but I liked this one.
Yeah.
Well, the depth,
And what are you doing? I'm sorry?
Mike,
Said it looks
Mike, were you talking?
marveling at whatever you're doing. Like, what are you doing? It's very clear. Well, this was taken with my Sony. This was with my Sony, so my DSLR.
you can really see the depth of field in this photograph. It's fantastic.
It's very shallow and you can see where the eyes were probably the focal point of where you're after, because it fell out of focus very quickly with the nose and especially the paw, which is that's the intent. That's well done.
Yeah.
I sort of like the fact that the two paws are out of focus.
I started to say that about depth of field in the full picture, that a lot of times, especially with animal photographs, the back eye should not be in focus. And that was almost a perfect example. Well, it was a perfect example of that.
Thank you.
Front eye was
Can
in
we go
focus,
back?
back eye wasn't totally.
Can we go
I could
back?
enlarge it
so we
to
can
see.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
right.
Interesting.
Yeah, but this
No,
is
that's the
cool.
eye that's in focus, and that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That is-
Wow.
Hey, Lynn, I think I just saw your picture in a picture. I think
Yeah, I
you're in
think
that
so.
dog's eye.
I think I'm in the eyeball.
Oh my gosh.
Unbelievably sharp.
Love it.
My favorite subject.
It seems like you could write a whole short story about just that eye and the look in it.
I got my eye on you.
Yeah.
I'm
There
not
you go,
posing,
Lynn.
I'm
You could go
hungry.
Start a whole new profession. You could get greeting cards and print that out with I have my eye on you inside.
There you go. Excellent.
Larry,
Wow.
So this is a Chinese chest. But, like all of you, I was just trying to figure out what to do that made sense. And so I just said, well, let's try. I moved some furniture around so I could get the light properly set up. But this is the Chinese chest.
It's beautiful.
And then
How big is it?
And then the next is the lock
Wow.
on the Chinese chest. This was taken with an extender, a 10mm extender, so I could get as close as possible. I tried to get the whole lock, but as I moved back, it came out of focus really quickly. So I just said, well, it's an idea, and so that's the fish, and it's all.
Did you take two pictures then?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's a different interpretation of the. I hadn't thought of it that way. That's a good way to think about it.
Well, right. I couldn't get. Yeah, there's the fish.
Right. So again, Larry, you took two different one of the whole piece, and then the second one zooming in on the fish.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
Very nice.
So I thought it would meet the criteria.
It did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. No, it's just a new way of thinking about it that sort of opens up possibilities, especially if I have an iPhone, because whenever I tried to increase crop in, it just got fuzzy.
Right.
Exactly,
So thanks for this idea.
exactly. So,
Well, Larry, there are probably a half a dozen pictures of this. I figured what the picture was gonna
Right.
be. I think what you picked was perfect, but there's another picture of one of the hinges, or in the bottom part of the, I don't know what that is, whether it's just ornament or, but anyway, good,
Gotcha.
beautiful chest.
Truly.
Ming Dynasty, no doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you use extension tubes, which helps you be able to get closer to the object, the depth of field does become very, very shallow.
Yeah, it's amazing because the top of the fish is sort of in focus, but what's right above it isn't. Interesting.
Very nice.
Larry, I'm so glad that you took your pictures this
Right.
way. It opened up all sorts of possibilities.
Oh, yeah.
those extension tubes are great. If you haven't used them, they're really inexpensive. And they add, I mean, you can get, if you're doing, it's perfect for doing insects like bees on a flower.
Mhm.
I mean, you can just keep the camera stationary and eventually the bee will wind up in your space so that you can just take the photograph without having to move the camera.
Cool.
So if you want to look them up, they're very reasonable.
Sounds like a tips and tricks to me.
Mhm.
Thanks.
Wow.
Okay, that's mine. And I
Wow.
sort of, I have a few orchids. I'm not a plant person, but I've sort of gotten interested in orchids. So I realized when I was going to take a picture that I was going to take a picture of this orchid. So that's the original, that's the first picture.
Right, the whole one.
Yeah, that's the whole one.
Wow.
The picture within a picture. And I actually feel like the thing on the bottom to me looks like Batman.
Yeah. So I can see a face in there too.
Yeah, it just,
Kind of a face, yeah.
yeah, it just looked like Batman. So I
These
just
could be
kinda-
wings.
Yeah.
Huh?
This could be a face.
Oh, no,
This
no,
could be
no,
a
the face is there, the face is, yeah, is there.
Bow
Like the
tie.
top or the bow tie, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, okay.
It's our own Rorschach test.
Right.
So,
Well, that
Yeah,
crop
the
is great.
clarity is spectacular. Which camera were you using?
I was using my Canon SLR Rebel.
Oh. Nice, beautiful clarity on this.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
And Susan, I wonder if you did some vignetting, what that would do to the picture.
It probably would have been good. I didn't use any, but that probably would be good.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll try
it's a
that.
great shot, but just something to play with.
Okay.
Ready,
Right.
Tom.
Oh, Tom.
Yeah,
Tom,
that's mine. I'm sorry, I was muted. Sorry. Yeah, this is not the cover shot. There was one wider. This is a toy truck in my friend's quote unquote garden. And then the next one is a yeah,
Oh, wow.
sort of
Yeah, I love
an
this.
abstract, and
Yeah,
That's just
Perfect.
beautiful, Tom.
I looked at it and I thought, oh, that's really good, but it's kind of ugly.
What is it, Tom? What is it? What is it?
That's the front fender from a toy truck.
Oh, I
Can we go
got it.
back to
Thank
the
you.
original? So we can see where it was on the truck? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right
Right.
there.
Right. So I then I put it through Affinity. What do they call them? Blend modes. And the next one is as a result. That is the result.
Ooh,
Oh,
there's-
wow.
What
how'd
did
you do that?
I put it's a blend mode or might be
Blend
two
mode.
blend modes in Affinity Photo.
So the blend mode changed the color?
It changes. I think one of them is a contrast negate, and I think what that does is it produces the complementary opposite to each color.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then there's another element to it. I think I used two blend modes, a blend mode out and blend mode, and then I stopped. I thought, well, I like that. It's quite beautiful.
It is beautiful.
You're not.
You-
Looks like maybe the
You're
maybe
not
the
gonna
first
see-
image from the James Webb Telescope.
You can
Yeah.
still see the line of the fender.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, that's what adds to the photograph, I think, because you've got that straight definitive line and then everything around it is chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are both, you don't get abstracts any better than these. These are terrific.
And there's really two pictures within this picture.
Yeah.
You see the ghost?
Yes.
No. Where's the ghost?
To the right.
Oh,
Okay, yeah, he's
okay.
put it right over there. Yeah.
Is that
I mean,
red?
that jumped out at me as soon as you put the picture up.
Is
I
that
saw a
red?
rabbit up here.
Is he smiling? You see that red blob?
Yes, it looks like he's smiling.
Absolutely smiling. Absolutely.
Anyone know if Photoshop Elements has a blend mode?
I'm pretty sure they do.
I don't know what it's called. I'm sure it
Wait,
does
before
because
we go to the next picture, I just have a question that's not about the photographs themselves, but sometimes the images that you're showing, Bill, are small and sometimes they're large or.
Yeah, I'm just. That's the
No,
original size.
Right, but what I'm wondering is that some of them you get original size this size and some of the original size is bigger, right? Or do they all come original size that size?
I'm totally confused about it myself.
Are you saying aspect ratio, width and height?
No, I'm just talking about the when like Tom sent in his pictures and they came up this size, right? And let's say Betty sent in her pictures and they pretty much filled the whole screen. And I'm just curious as to why that happens. I mean, I know it has something to do with pixels and stuff, but, and we don't, if it's a big, long, complicated answer, please don't take the time now. I was just curious.
Well, like my big long wall. Well,
Yeah.
What I did with that is when I did cropping, I did something called non-restrictive. So what I did is I went from one corner to the other corner and it didn't try to keep it in a certain format.
Aspect ratio.
It wasn't being forced into a certain, what they call aspect ratio,
Right.
where it depends on how you process it is what you're probably going to see on the screen.
Right. It's
I
just
think,
that
I think it
if
has
I'm
something to
cropping,
do with file size as well.
Yeah.
In
Okay.
terms of it being
The
small
thing-
now and others being larger. I think the file
Right.
size may be different.
Part
it's
of
just that
it
if I
is
crop,
the
I mean, here's
part of
my,
it's the eye of the beholder in terms of what device you're looking at it on and what size the image was saved in to send. So you can choose frequently when you mail or send an image somewhere what the final size will be, and that comes back to your pixels. And the aspect ratio is a relation to the proportion, whether it stays the same relation top to bottom, side to side, versus if you compress, squeeze,
Right.
or otherwise, change the overall proportions of the image. So there's multiple factors, but the bottom line is once you have your file, have your image you're going to send, it's what size you want to send it to somebody as, and that's going to determine a lot in terms of what size they see,
Okay.
Exactly.
I mean,
if that makes sense.
my question
Yeah.
stems from, when I was trying to figure out the picture within the picture and I'd crop something down really small. And then I did a test email to myself and the picture came out really tiny. And then when it was big enough to be seen on the screen, it was just all really fuzzy. So I just didn't know if I'm sending in a picture, I want to know that it's going to be as sharp when I send it in as it is on my screen, but I guess it would be anyway, right? Sorry, I'm getting too complicated. Let's just move on.
Well, actually, when I was using photo elements and was working with my picture within a picture, because I wanted to make it bigger, I wasn't sure. And within photo elements, I think I did fit to screen once I'd zoomed in or something or once I'd cropped it. I cropped it way down and then, I don't know, Bill can probably correct me on this one.
Yeah, we
I think I cropped it
yeah,
down and then did it to screen and that made it
well,
bigger. Is
it
that
made it
correct?
bigger for you to see, but it didn't really change the file at all.
Oh,
Yeah, that's just for being able to see it on your screen.
Well, maybe that's a tips and tricks someday that we can talk about how to save pictures and email them and to the best advantage and stuff.
That's right. That was supposed to be one of, I think, the conversations today. Actually, I think there was a few that we overpassed. Maybe we'll get to it when we get at the end of the pictures.
Okay. Thank you for your indulgence of my question. Oh, nice.
Wow.
Whose is this?
Actually, that's mine. It was from the farmer's market here in Farrington a year ago. And this is the big picture. The second one is when I was first thinking, I had the same thing, Leslie, about, when you get right down to it, what is meant by a picture within a picture?
Right.
Is it just cropping? And I decided, no, it had to have a different feeling. The larger picture had to be like kind of recording a scene or something, what was going on. And then the picture within the picture had to be another kind of emotional thing within it. And this was one that I just, those of you from Farrington probably recognize her. I mean, she is quite a character at the farmer's market anyway, but she was so intent, on getting the flowers just right. And of course, it's the pandemic, so you can't take the mask off, you can't see the face, but just conveyed a lot, I thought.
Yeah.
The question for me is, can she still smell the flowers with the mask on?
It's always scary, isn't it? Because sometimes even with my very best masks, you pass the coffee grounds in the store or something, and you can smell them. So it makes you wonder, how good is your mask?
How good are
Yeah,
they?
how effective they are.
I think one thing that's important with this image too is the original one was taken horizontal. And I think when you in post-processing, it's always a good idea to, how would this look in a portrait,
Yes.
And I think that's what really makes a difference between the original and this one.
Yes. And vignetting, I thought the slight vignette around her put the focus on the intensity of, what she was doing at the moment.
It's unfortunate that car went by at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's the other thing is the vignette hides all that miscellaneous stuff in the background.
So, Kathy at Periwinkle Farm here lives right the next property above the gargoyles.
Oh,
that we saw
really?
earlier.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
All right.
Oh, and by the way, the masks are 95%, right? blockage. So you're going to get your
Well, it's
blockage, and that's a
no,
much
it's a difference.
smaller
It's a different
molecule as
difference.
well, size.
It's the difference between a particulate filter and a
Right.
filter for vapors. And
Right.
viruses are particles, and so it's you're going to need activated carbon if you want to get out the smells. So if you don't want to smell the flowers, then get yourself a organic vapor cartridge respirator.
Wow.
Good to know.
Okay, that is mine. That is a picture of the pond, the little pond where the size bear taken last fall when we were looking for fall colors. And it's just a picture.
Oh, beautiful.
Wow.
This is
That is
this
just
is what
gorgeous.
you get when you crop, and I really liked the effect.
It is a little fuzzy, but I think it adds to it.
But it adds the abstractness to it, I think.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
It is. Oh, yeah.
Wow. You have a good eye, Helen.
Yeah.
And the fact is when you do see an image within an image, it doesn't have to be as clear as the original image. It just becomes something else something else of its own.
Right.
Yeah, moving in on it almost looks like a tapestry.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking.
I just loved the colors and the way it looks like it's woven.
It's just gorgeous.
Christmas colors.
And, and I think that you cropped it really well because the water color, the light gray just really adds to the depth and balances the picture, I think.
Linda talked earlier about what did image in an image mean, and I told her that what I was doing was, since I never know to take a sharp picture, I was doing reflection off of a pond, and it really wouldn't matter if it were sharp. It was a perfect solution for me.
Absolutely.
I had the same problem a lot of you had. When I cropped in, I had a mess, but I said here it didn't matter. So get a little abstract again.
Great. Great image.
Oh, that's another one of mine. Are you going to do two of mine here? Okay, this is a mausoleum in New Orleans, and the thing about this was I was trying to learn how to use the perspective tool in Affinity, and I couldn't. I wanted to shoot the thing straight on, but I was too close because of things that were right across the sidewalk. So I shot it this way, and then I used the perspective tool to get that.
Oh, wow. That is beautiful.
Wow.
Ooh, that is impressive.
If you're using Photoshop Elements or Photoshop generally, it's up underneath the filter menu.
If you look,
Is that expert or?
Sorry?
Is that under expert or guided or what in Photoshop?
Yeah,
expert.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Affinity, it's called Perspective Tool. And if you look on the right-hand side, you can see that it's you can see straight into the sarcophagus. But on the left-hand side, you can see that it's still
a little curved
in perspective.
Yep.
The walls are in perspective, so it's not perfect, but I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. And then I had to clone in a lot of the marble because there was stuff in the way.
In terms of the perspective or distortion tool, one of the reasons to get back farther, perhaps than you really thought you wanted to, the more you get in that frame, the more control you have over being able to do this. If you're too close, you're never going to get here. But by virtue of that first one being at a good distance, there was a whole lot more to work with. Because when you change perspective, you lose some of the frame immediately. Even if you don't zoom in, you lose some of the frame. And if you're close, you don't have enough of the frame to crop off.
So I'm curious about the lighting in these, because it looks like in the first photograph, it's in shadow, and here you've got nice color.
Yeah.
Yeah, I warmed it up quite a bit.
Okay.
With the saturation tool, I guess.
That is really a beautiful
Saturation.
image.
The white balance tool.
And I'm
Thank
wondering,
you.
That's really a beautiful image.
and I'm wondering what's peeking out in that bottom right-hand corner square.
Those, if you zoom in on those bricks, they're really quite something. You know, this.
Yeah.
I went crazy.
Well, it's-
Oh, yeah.
All right. Boom.
Yeah. So this is another one. Sorry, but so I have a friend who his father is a pretty successful mid 20th century artist, and he's written a book about him, and I was guest reading it sort of, and I thought, well, why do photographs always look like photographs? Why can't we have photographs that look like paintings? So you can see a painting in the back there. And I saw those windows in the back, and I thought, oh, they look a lot like one of the paintings that I saw in my friend's stepfather's thing. So then the next one is what I came up with, and
Well, that's really cool.
Tom,
to me it looked like.
when the pictures came through and when your pictures came through and I downloaded them, they didn't come out in the same order for some reason. I had a devil of a time trying to figure out which of your pictures this went to. Seriously. And when I saw it, finally, I identified it by process of elimination. It kind of looks like the grill on that little truck. I mean, I don't. Picture within a picture is the globe, and it looks like Australia or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's totally not there in the original picture, but again, these are blend modes.
Is this Australia or is this South America? Oh.
Anyway, I really had
Australia before the shift.
I think it's an exoplanet.
Blue dot.
Wow.
Wow. I don't see
so
that.
to me, it looks like like a painting someone would do, and I thought,
yeah.
So I'm struggling with this thing about what are photographs? What are they? Why do they always look like photographs? What are some other things that we could do? Anyway, there you have it.
Well, that was the last one, and evidently I didn't realize that I was supposed to be taking care of this meeting, and I just found the list of things we're supposed to talk about. Actually, there's something here called in-person meetings. Is this something Mike, Frank, or Helen?
Yeah, that the three of us have talked a lot about ideas that came from the whole group about how to get back together more often and where to do that. And we've identified some new areas. Chapel in the Pines is one, thanks to Lynn. And Frank and Helen went into the goat last week, I guess it was, seems like a year ago, but and talked to some more people about using their upstairs room, which doesn't seem to have anybody in it any time. And I guess that's an option.
Helen and I went over and talked to the woman at the inn, and it's that little conference room at the top of the stairway to the right. The only thing is we can't reserve it. It's like first come, first serve, but if it was early, meetings were early enough, we probably would be okay. But there again, it'd have to be Wednesday through Friday because they're not open Monday and Tuesday. But there would be no charge for the room. We could just go ahead and use it.
Well, and to complicate it even more, I had contact with the senior center, and Larry can help on this, but I guess the senior center is opening back up in July, and there has been an inquiry as to whether we're interested in going back there. It would have to be in the afternoon again. But that's an option as well.
Well, I would like to suggest that for a little while, as we feel well with this, that we have one meeting in person a month and one meeting via Zoom a month, and perhaps use a venue that has capability, but we, as Mike talked about in the past, all of us bring our laptops and still Zoom if we wish, so that we can get a really good close view of the graphs we would have on our screens, and then be able to look up, I assume, into a big TV screen and see a big image of the photo. And if there were any way that we can do this, then it would be nice, perhaps if we could do the mid-May at Chapel in the Pines. Do you suppose you could?
I just have to fill out.
The Chapel in the Pines, is that a possibility? Because I thought there was I don't know, was it Mark Herbroth saying it's not available?
I spoke to the office manager.
Yeah.
That's where I got my information, so.
Oh, okay, so you went right to the source then, okay.
I did. So it would be available on Tuesday in the morning when we've been meeting, which might be nice.
And did God say we could use it?
I'm sorry?
Did God say we could use the?
He's okay with it.
You can't go any higher than that.
I just have to fill out an application form information.
And do they have AV equipment too?
They do. I don't know. I'm not an AV person, so I'm not sure how all that stuff works, but.
Well, as long as there was cell service.
Right.
Well, there's Wi-Fi.
If there's Wi-Fi, better yet.
There's Wi-Fi.
That they would allow us to tap into that, and then we're our own AV subunits.
Yeah, I think Wi-Fi would be the best bet. The
Yeah.
cell phone service is not great there, so
Okay.
you have to use the Wi-Fi. But
I could bring a large screen video and we can set up our own AV system, as you say.
That would be good. I don't have a laptop, but I'm sure I could share with somebody.
I could bring you one to use, or
so let me
That
know
would
what
be an
day.
ideal solution to kind of blend modes here using a virtually, but to have Zoom, have in person, we have the in-person contact before and after. Then the other meeting, all our meetings would be purely Zoom until we get a sense. If a place doesn't work out, we can move to the senior center.
What day are you thinking about? Are you thinking about this? Are you thinking about this for our next meeting, or when are you thinking about this?
I was thinking maybe for the mid-May, 45 mid-May, whatever that would be.
So the 10th. It'd be the 10th or the 24th.
Yeah, the 10th.
Okay, I'll check.
Just try on the 10th.
I'll check
You
and
can
let
see
you,
that. Yeah.
I'll check
Okay.
and let you know, Helen.
Okay.
All right.
If you have a chance, take a look at the chapel. It's a very attractive
It
building.
is a beautiful building.
Oh, okay.
And it looks like it has some great photo opportunities there.
Oh.
And the inside, yeah.
That's good.
Now, if we go back to in person, do we keep it at the same time as we have these Zooms, or do we go kind of back where what we did before when we were in person, like Wednesday in an afternoon? Maybe different times will allow people who haven't been coming, be able to come. You know, just throwing out some thoughts of how to
I mean,
look at
my-
this, or
my first reaction is to just leave it at the same time for the first time we do it. And then if
Yep.
it works out, we can expand and think about different times. But it just seems like it's going to, for me anyway, it's throwing an extra wrench into the mix that would just.
If we're doing this in person, every other meeting, I think it's best to leave it at the same time and the same day.
So you'll send out an email to see whether or not we can use it at that date?
I will.
Okay,
I'll let
Thanks,
Helen,
Lynn.
I'll let Helen know.
that's the 10th. That's the 10th of May.
Right, at 11 a.m.
Great.
Thank
very
you so
much.
much, Lynn, for doing this.
Lynn,
Oh, you're
thank you. I
welcome.
think that of all the options, library, wherever, that's probably the best location we've come up with, thanks to Lynn. So.
Okay. Great.
okay.
What is
another-
next? What is the challenge for next time?
Yeah, good
Shadows.
segue.
Through a window.
It's what?
Shadow.
Shooting
Through a window.
Oh, through the
Uh,
window?
okay.
Yeah, that's on the 26th.
Oh, shooting through the window.
Mike,
Right.
do you want to talk about this a little bit?
Yeah,
Or do you?
but very briefly, and if you want to, whatever you can add, Helen, I would be grateful, but I didn't know whether I was going to have a signal today that I could join the meeting, and then cold or allergy, whatever it is, my voice doesn't sound right to me. But anyway, there are 3 links to articles online that I think Helen is going to put in the minutes of this meeting when they go out. And the 3 articles are pretty redundant. You read one article and you kind of read them all. The guidelines are pretty similar, one article to the next, and they're all really quick reads. And I would encourage you just to look at one or more of those articles. It's not esoteric stuff. And Helen, one of the things that I remember clearly is well, clean windows. That's a start. Sure, now I choke and I can't talk. Clean windows, lens against the window. And then, Betty, what else would we do to get a good shot through a window?
Yes. Just be persistent, right? And it's the light. At
Yeah.
least I find,
Yeah.
you know, if you shoot from the same window often enough at enough different times, you realize that there's certain, you know, reflections that will always get in there. And
Well, and a polarizing filter may help in some
that's
cases.
my key too.
And
Yeah, except the thing, it cuts down your light so much anyway, that if you're shooting like wildlife or birds, you know, you're just scrapping for every little bit of light that you can, and any polarizing or anything like that just makes it more difficult to get, you know, get more light in.
And
Clean windows and watching out for the reflections, that, you know, making sure that you know what the light is like outside and what it's hitting on the window.
You got to be concerned about the light and anything on the inside of the room that you're shooting from as well. Because like, I think what Michael said is to try to shoot directly out of the window. But if you're going to shoot on an angle, you're going to get a lot more introduction, a lot more of inside your room. And I have a YouTube video that kind of really explains it real well that I'll get out, where, you know, shooting flat, it might be the best, but how to deal with it once you kind of go on angles and how to get reflections out.
Yeah,
So I came across it late last night, so I'll make sure I get it out to everybody. It was a pretty good one.
Ways to get around it. One would be, do you remember the soft lens hood? You can still get them. I looked on eBay and B&H, and you can buy them for under $12. You can smash side down if it is soft and get some angle. Can you hear me? I'm getting the message. Okay.
Yeah.
You smush that soft lens hood down, and instead of having to have your camera flat against glass, which is the suggestion, you can go at an angle a little bit. Another way is to avoid overhead lighting. Another is to actually, well, if you're getting reflections of yourself, to be sure to wear light clothes. Another way is to have a or a black coat and try to close off where the reflection might be coming from. So there are ways to avoid reflections, but you have to work at it. I've done everything wrong. I think the most famous is trying to use a flash. So that's the first. That's the first thing you don't want to do, is use a flash. The second thing is dirty windows, and you can't always clean the outside of the window. You're on the 30th of a skyscraper. So,
I have a question. So through the window, could it be looking from the outside of a window in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say it would be, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for both ways, looking out, looking in.
Okay.
But could it also be something like, I don't, like looking into a store and, you know, that kind of thing?
Sure.
Is that
Anything through the glass, I think, is what we had in mind when we were thinking about that.
And it's best sometimes if we just keep it as open as possible.
Yeah.
Because usually we come up with some pretty neat stuff.
Yeah.
one other thing to think about is double pane glass can fool you, and also polarized. If you're using a polarizing filter to shoot something that has polarized glass to start with, so all these things are
I want
things
to
to think about.
I want to share
HDR bracket may help, and the wide angle lens will help. And I'm not sure I understand why. Maybe you guys that know more can speak on that, or you gals that know more.
I want to share a shot.
Cool.
This
Is
may
that a
be may be
bird?
an example of where a dirty window can add some artistic effect. This is out the bedroom window, and it was really dirty, as you can. Well, it's not quite that dirty, but with processing, it got a little dirtier. But this bird at some point slammed against that window, and it's just an impression that bird made on the window.
Wow.
And I was afraid the bird was dead, but went out almost immediately, and the bird was gone. At least it didn't but it happens a whole lot. But anyway,
Wow.
Helen, what was your question? Because I actually couldn't hear you.
Wide angle lens. That was a suggestion that I read, the wide angle lens would help shooting through a window, and I didn't understand how and why that might be the case.
You know, one of the links you were saying suggested using a wide angle. Yeah, and I'm open. I'll try different ones, you know. I don't know, to go with one as opposed to a shorter or a longer telephoto.
well, the only thing I can think of, it relates back to what we talked about with the last meeting's tips and tricks. The shorter the focal length of a lens, the greater the depth of field.
Mhm.
Telephoto, shallow depth. Wide angle, very deep depth of field. So that may be the wisdom behind that. I don't know. But it makes sense because you don't want your lens focusing on the window itself.
Right.
And so if you get the lens up next to the window and have a wide angle, the depth of field is going to be past the window itself, I think.
Can you also send out those pictures that you did during your talk, Mike? I don't think they went out, did they? Remember all the different pictures that Mike had?
Oh, are you talking about the one with the stick figures and moving them back and forth? I think they went out in the minutes, didn't they, Helen?
Yeah, they were attached to the minutes at the bottom.
Oh, okay, I'll look. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't look at that.
If not there, I can send it out again, but
Okay, yeah, I probably look at that. I'm sorry. Yeah, okay.
Bill, thank you for helping. I was worried I wouldn't even be able to have a signal, and appreciate what you've done to help us get through.
one other thing that I'd like for us to talk about is we people in charge talked about recruitment of members. And Mike and Frank helped me on this, but we had ground on this.
Excuse me, could somebody repeat what Helen said? Because it was garbly for me. Anybody get it?
Well, it was just a question about recruiting members.
And,
oh, okay. We talked about going through Nextdoor. You know, Mark used to send out a lot of things to Nextdoor. Trying to contact the other photography clubs and recruiting members from them. And I think where we wound up, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think where we wound up was we individually start recruiting people. Personal contact.
Right.
Bring somebody in that you know, invite them to a meeting just to see if they'd be interested, and that we may do better at recruiting suitable members that way than trying to throw a wide net, so to speak. And you know, some of the people that are on the screen today came to us that way, and we'd be lost without them. So
yeah, because I don't know, I can think of 3, maybe 4 people that I would then reach out to. 2 serve on other boards with me, and there are a couple of other names. We were going to talk about it today, about going ahead and doing that, but should one of us go first and give it a try and see what happens with that before, you know, because if everybody runs out and grabs somebody, we could be, you know, inundated the first meeting, you know? Yeah. So what I thought I'd do is just reach out to the 2 that I know of. Both live in the village here. And just see if there'd be any interest in coming into the next meeting. But let's see, that will still be via Zoom, but even if it's in person, they may still want to come.
well, how about this, Frank? do what you just said and talk to those
Okay.
two.
All right.
If anybody in this group has somebody that they think might work out, contact Helen or Frank or me to say you have somebody we'd like to talk to. And as long as there's nobody else ahead in line, then get the go ahead from the three of us to kind of coordinate.
I'm sorry, do
Okay.
we need to get, I'm sorry,
Well,
do
I'm
we
just
need to
saying
get permission?
that Frank's going to start with the two people he knows.
I'm gonna reach out. yeah.
Anybody else that has people they want to contact, more power to you, but go through the gatekeeper of the three on the steering committee, people in charge committee.
I'm confused. Does that mean we have to get permission to invite somebody to the group?
No, Leslie,
yeah.
I think the only
What?
point is so that we don't all try to bring somebody new in at the same week.
At the same time.
Yeah, at the same time. Yeah, so just.
Do we have,
Because
Let
I
us
mean, I
know.
didn't realize that. And when I was at the Arboretum the other day, I met the guy who lives across the street, who happens to have a box camera, and told him about the group. I mean,
Uh-huh.
I don't know that he will join us ever, but I didn't realize that it was a vetting process.
Well, I think one thing that we've learned in the past is that we do need to pay a little attention and to ensure that the person is looking for this type of group. You know, most of us deal with, DSLRs or mirrorless like Sony's and things. Yeah, I think we want to make sure that people that come in aren't just, don't fit the 13 people that we see here. Yeah, I don't think we
I'm
want.
really uncomfortable with that, Bill. I'm just.
Well, I don't
uncomfortable.
see this as
How are
vetting,
you gonna-
other than you are doing your own vetting. If you think that they are
Right.
somebody that would be interested, then yeah, fine, but just let's not gang up and try to bring a bunch of people in the same meeting. That's the.
I mean, that's okay, but the idea that we're going to try to think about how somebody's going to fit into the group before we even know if they're interested.
I think as Mike
It
was
makes
saying,
me
that's gonna be
very
up to
uncomfortable.
each of us to see if that person, would be a good fit for the club. Has the same interests and is looking forward to doing the same things that we do, then they would be. Yeah,
And you're not.
but I guess like we were saying, we don't want everybody running out and getting somebody. So the next meeting on the 26th, we've got 30 people on the Zoom. It may discourage some people because it's kind of, just too much. So I'm going to reach out to these two. If there's no interest on their part, I'll let everybody know, and then we can try somebody
Do
else.
we have a number of how many new people we can invite each week? I mean, this sounds very, it seems to me that we're enough of a generous and welcoming group that even if 30 people did show up one meeting, that we would be able to handle it. I just, I understand.
How much time can give each picture, each image, if we have 30 people in the club?
Well, I think that having 30 people is going to be, if we wanted to say we're only going to have X number of people in our group, that's one thing, but we haven't said that. I don't know. How do other people feel? Because if I'm the only one that feels that way, then, I'll have to think about it, but I don't want to.
I agree with you. I don't think we're going to get 30 people,
No.
next week. Maybe if we just all do our thing and if we get a few in, and we can always revisit this as a group gets larger and see about what we want to do. And, maybe we don't all submit pictures if there's 35 people, but I don't think we have to worry about that now.
Yeah. Ace?
In the days gone by, when you were meeting at the senior center, roughly how many people were attending?
That was probably anywhere between 30 and 35.
Really?
But at the
Okay.
time, what that was, Mark Herbert was putting out on Nextdoor and the chat list. And there was people showing up that had almost no interests. We rifled through, we had no consistency like we
Right,
have here.
right.
And people came in to maybe just try to sell stuff. Where
Right.
they'd come in and see that it was more of a social group than actually a photography group. That's why when I talk about, trying to make sure that we get the right people in here that want to move along like we have. We've done a great job over the past 2 years, this group. And it'd be, good for the group to get more people, as long as we're all kind of trying to do the same thing, learning together, getting better together. Yeah.
No,
You
I
shouldn't be
think
just somebody who wants to show up for a social.
Right.
thing.
No, I agree with that completely, Bill. It's just that I know that I probably would have been rejected from the group when I first, had contact with you guys, because it was just a matter of, I got in contact with you guys because I had a camera I couldn't use and I wanted somebody to have it who could use it. And then the encouragement of all of you really helped me figure out that I could use my iPhone to take pictures. And it has been an incredibly joyful thing for me to be part of this group. But I worry that, most people are pretty self-selecting in terms of whether or not they fit. And I feel so strongly and so positively about this group that I want to share it with other people.
Ace,
So
Ace.
anyway, Ace, you were going to say something, right?
Yeah, a couple of basic issues that we need to think about is one, is there a target, a maximum size we want the group to be?
Right.
Secondly, I think everybody agrees that this is a group for people who want to learn about photography. And there's so many such a range of aspects to photography, from equipment, processing, and image. And it's like, so you can do image with an iPhone. It's not the camera, it's the photographer who makes a good image. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a great camera or any particular technical specifications, but photography itself is a very technical field. And if you want to learn how to get the image that you want, there is learning involved that apply to all cameras, and there's some things that apply to some cameras. Or the SLRs. So, and there's such a wide range in our topics and in our experiences and in our equipment of our group that we have that, there's many aspects to address. And it's like, we address bits and pieces as we go along, which I think shares the wisdom of all of our members here, and contributes to, I think, everybody's learning. But I think a fundamental aspect is that we have people and invite people, when we invite people, that they understand that this is for learning to do better.
Exactly.
And it's not just to show off your photos, and it's not just to sell something or socialize. This is a group that wants to grow in photography with whatever they have equipment wise, right?
Just for
Leslie,
comparison, how many are in the Chapel Hill group?
Hundreds.
Say again, Lynn?
How many are in the Chapel?
Hundreds from all over the nation.
Okay.
Leslie, in terms of bringing people in, I would say that you're the model. What you brought was a willingness and a willingness to learn. And just like Ace says, that's the key criterion. And not only to learn, but to share that learning. And if we can find more like you, then more power to us.
Amen.
But I guess I do think that there is like a maximum size. In other words, with having 12 or 13 or 14 or 15, especially on Zoom, it does seem to work. And I'm just a little concerned that if you start to get, and I guess we'll just see as we go along. It's not like there all of a sudden there's going to be 15 people who join us all at once.
Yeah.
Right.
That ain't gonna happen.
Yeah,
But-
number one, you have to have friends, so
Well,
you'll never have somebody come, so.
I got Tom to join the group, so I got my one person.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
All right, we're at a boundary.
Okay.
Okay.
I can tell
Well,
you
I
that
just
I don't
want- I
know
just want to add-
how soon I'm going to be able to get the video uploaded, given the low signal strength I have, but it'll be up before the end of the week for sure.
All right,
Mike,
thank
when
you.
you coming
Have
back?
fun down there.
What's that?
When are you coming
fun.
back?
I'm
When are you
not-
coming back?
Oh, tomorrow.
Okay,
So,
well, have fun. I think Ellen was saying have fun, so I agree with that. And the other thing that I want to say is that a real big thank you to all of you, because it really has been so wonderful to the experience of watching all, seeing all your photographs and learning what I could do with the iPhone. So I really appreciate this group and thank you. You're all wonderful people.
I
I
agree. We're a good group. So,
yeah.
Have a
Before
good
we
rest
shut
of
down,
your week.
I just had one question. One of the items was subcommittee possibility. We still have to get 3 people for the next round of challenges, because we've got 3 more challenges left on the old list. And
Challenges and tips and tricks.
yeah. And do we have 3 names for that subcommittee?
Can I make a suggestion? Because I thought it was sort of fun for us to figure out the topics together. So maybe for the next time we can just all, I mean, we were doing that for a couple of weeks before the wonderful subcommittee got together, but it would be interesting to try that. But if people don't want to do that, that's fine too.
How does everybody else feel?
I thought it was a lot of fun actually to get together in a good excuse in a small pop-up group like the 3 of us when we got together, because we really got a chance to talk to each other in greater depth and get to know. And I think one of the things that we all like about this group is by now we kind of do know a little bit about each of us and our styles and stuff. And the more we can build in little subgroups that give opportunities for people to get to know each other that way, I think that's good. So, but Leslie, you could be on the next subgroup and then we get
Listen,
all
I've
of
already
your-
made my
Yes, yes,
contribution.
yes,
We're
I'd
going
love
to the
hear what you-
Arboretum next week.
All right.
Okay.
well,
But,
Frank,
I mean, I would be willing to sit on to do the next one, and that would cover us from what, June through August. I forget how far the last committee did.
The next one would be a quarter.
Okay.
I'll be glad to help.
Yay, that's good.
Frank,
All right.
Lynn, and who was on the last one?
One more, it's
I
only
don't
about 30
remember.
minutes worth of
Bill?
work.
So Lynn and I, and then Bill, you'll be the moderator, or just to kick it
Oh,
off.
I wasn't volunteering because I did the first one, but I was just
Okay.
mentioning that it's only about 30 minutes worth of work. Yeah, it's not like it's a,
Ace
Ace.
is volunteering, he's volunteering.
Oh,
Yes,
okay, great. All
you
right.
got it.
All right.
So,
All right.
Good, good.
So
All
Jay,
right.
now,
this is for challenge, right?
this is
Yeah.
for the challenges, right? The challenge is for June, July, and August.
how about the tips and tricks that go with it?
Um,
Oh, jeez.
Well, doesn't that kind of fall with, once you have a challenge, and then the week before you have a tips and tricks, that it's assigning, or
Right.
getting somebody to.
And what we
Okay.
did last time, we put them all together. So we had tips and tricks as well as the challenges.
Yeah, but it
Or
was,
I'll talk
both.
to you
All
about it.
right,
it was
Yeah.
a different subcommittee. In other words, there's a subcommittee to do the challenges, a subcommittee to do the tips and tricks, but then the tips and tricks figured in with the challenges.
it precedes the challenge. Tips and tricks is always, it covers that challenge the week before.
I'm getting confused.
I'm getting hungry.
To come up with the tips and tricks. Last time we did it separate, because I was on the second one, but not the first one. So maybe the challenge people just come up with tips and tricks too.
I'm just
Make
thinking
it
of the
easy.
millions of people that are going to be viewing this recording on YouTube and getting a chuckle out of our talking about all of this stuff.
What do you think
Well-
about integrating the tips and tricks with the challenge? I mean, you said before about doing the tricks and tips before the meeting before the challenge, which is one way of integrating, but the other way is to do it both at the same time in terms of having the challenge and then looking at what people have done and then tying into the tips and tricks at the same time.
That's the way it's
Just a
set up
thought.
now.
Mhm.
You know, we have the spreadsheet that shows the day of the
Okay, so we'll.
challenge, and then the
Done. We'll
the
continue.
meeting before kind of will be a tips and tricks for that next challenge. That's how we have it set up right now.
We'll continue that way.
Yeah,
And,
good plan.
and the way,
If
and the way you did it before, Bill, everybody looked at that total list and came up with their suggestion.
Yeah.
And then you got together as a group and said, all right, you vote on it and you pick the next.
Yeah, you do a little pre-work on your own, you know which ones you think is right. Then when you get together, you pick the total number of challenges that, you know, the subjects you want. And then after that, we put them in date sequence, because
Right.
if one would be better at a certain time of the year, yeah, you kind of put it in there.
Right, okay.
But again, you know, we did it like a flash.
Okay,
It's not rocket science.
So,
Frank,
All right.
Lynn, and Ace,
right.
just and tipsters. and
Now,
tricksters.
I'll send out that list to us three
Okay.
of that total list and then start thinking about it. We'll pick a time to get together.
Okay. Thanks, Frank.
All right,
All
I'll do
right,
that
thank-
after.
All right. Bye.
Thank you all, and if you're watching,
Wait, one
the
last thing,
fun's
Helen,
over.
Helen, can you send out the links that Mike sent, the ones that Susan was looking for again? Because I can't find them either.
Okay, they're on the minutes, but I will.
I know. I just, if you could do that, I would really appreciate
will
it.
do
Thank you.
I'll do it. If you can hear me, that's a yes.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
All right, take it easy. Bye-bye.
You too.